Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the budget work session for the town of Bladensburg for Monday, April 27th, 2026. We're now called to order. Thank you for those joining us in person tonight, as well as those who may be tuning in from home or watching at a later point in time. We want to continue our conversations for the FY 2027 budget planning process to help us get closer to hopefully approving the budget at either the May or June upcoming meetings. And so with that, we have our packets that Mr. Tonelli, our acting town administrator, or sorry, there's an echo, Mr. Gray. I'm trying to adjust the mic. Is that better? Did it go away? So Mr. Tonelli, our interim town administrator and town treasurer and interim clerk, has prepared our budget packets for us to work through. I'll keep talking until you tell me to stop.
You're doing great.
And based on previous meetings, we've gone through the budgets for the mayor and town council, the town administrator, the administrative team, including the treasurer and clerk's offices. We started on public safety last time, but because Chief has such a robust and comprehensive portion of the budget, we had a lot of questions, quite frankly, and I don't know that we completely got through everything public safety related and came up against the council meeting time and had to stop. That was for the April meeting, as you guys might recall. We really tried to focus during the April 13th council work session on the budget as the primary agenda item. So wanted to give the opportunity to pick back up at the public safety budget and then continue through with public works. And really, Sean, as part of public safety, we've got you in there as well. So please chime in, if we're missing any things. And then we'll work in some questions throughout just to make sure that the council recommendations or questions are answered before we move on. Does that sound okay?
Perfect.
All right, over to you, Mr. Tonelli.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to share a microphone here since we're down here, and it's more personable, a little bit more casual, so we can walk through everything. And the mayor did a great job with the introduction here. This is our fourth budget meeting, budget work session. Yeah, send it on down. Thank you. You got some copies down there. Okay, just taking a quick count around. Send that one down. Yeah, you got to put the. Take off on you. Okay, so get the mic back on. I'm going to go ahead and share something here, just to walk us through what I like to call our rolling notes here. I'm not going to take too long on this, just kind of where we've been from. She might pop up on the screen in a minute. This kind of small. I'll make it a little bit larger. Too big. Okay, we had our. Thanks, Rick. We had our budget introduction on March 2nd. That was more of an overview, and that was just what I like to say, get ink on paper. And that we started with a $400,000 deficit, and again, that's just something where we started. And we went through the budget revenues, started out with a review of the mayor and council budget. April 2nd, we had our second budget work session. We reviewed the mayor and council department again for changes that we made the prior meeting, and then we went into our administrative departments, which is a town administrator, the town clerk. April 13th work session. This is our third budget meeting. This was during the mayor and council work session. We devoted the entire work session to the budget. We continued through the administrative departments, including finance, and we went into public safety. and we ran out of time at the end. I got in like a last few notes on like 10 like line items that were in like 30 seconds. So I just want to go back and touch on public safety again. Tonight, I want to finish up public safety. I'm going to do a public works review. Mr. Hall can't join us tonight. He might join us online, but I can talk through the budget, and Sean can help me as well. It's one of our important service departments, but it's been relatively constant, which has been nice. Constant meeting, constant known expenses. There's not like a lot of surprises there. And other, talk about when we're going to introduce a budget ordinance, possibly addition of interns. But something I want to go back to, we started with a $400 and some thousand loss. I've been going through the budget with Frischkorn, the positions. I had 2 duplicated positions in there. They weren't really duplicated, but they were carryovers into this year, which should not have been in this year. They were not in this year's budget, but they carried over, and they got included. And also through advancements, promotions, vacancies, people backfilling, kind of got lost in the total number of officers. And I look back, and I actually had 2 more line level officers, more than should have been pretty much. I had 29 LEOs, law enforcement officers. We really have 27 LEOs. So I kept feeling like it was heavy on that side. I kept going back. When Michelle was here, we went through it and everything, but I just think with the promotions and everything else, I don't want to say it got lost, but they stayed in there, and they shouldn't have stayed in there. But that is something that I would like to happen, rather than the other way. Also, what we talked about last time was deferring the purchase of the 3 public safety vehicles. I removed them, but I don't like to say remove. I just like to say deferred, because I want them to come back in with a budget amendment once we know how the finances are doing, once we see the track record of the traffic programs, to see how they're trending. I want to bring those back in, but for purposes of balancing the budget, I want to keep them out right now to take the pressure off. We already have, I believe, $1.6 million budgeted for revenues for between speed camera revenues, red light camera revenues, and those don't even include the stop sign cameras, which haven't come online yet. As a conservative, yes, but I don't want to over budget on those revenues, because we over budgeted on those last year to offset some expenses, and it didn't work out. We got burned. So we went, and that is without a third program in there with the stop sign revenues. So once we see how things are doing, revenues again throughout here are conservative. If once they start, 6 months in, 7 months in, we look like we're doing well, I want to bring those capital expenditures back in, which.
That timing is about when.
Yeah, I don't like front loading it. Yeah. Some agencies or counties or towns, once they see a budget number in there, they think July 1, I'm placing the order. I'm like, no, space it out a little bit. Let's give us some. It gives me some breathing room, because we had a loss last year. I really want to build that back in again. So once we start backfilling the hole, but. Again, it's deferring it. It's not taking it out. It's deferring it. So I want to bring it back in through budget amendments. Yeah, I'm talking for him. I don't want to talk for him. Mm-hmm.
I just want to give you the chance to react to that and give us some input.
Yeah, I'm fine with the way that he's doing it because we can bring it back in, and we have 2 other vehicles that are getting delivered in the next 2 months. So we just got several vehicles, so we should be fine until later in the year.
Okay.
So I'm fine with that. Me and Vito have discussed that.
Okay. And so even from that standpoint, I would just say, once you see how the funding is flowing by the fall, once you guys talk and bring it back to the council, even if it's not, officially purchased until, let's say, January, February 2027, at least you can be getting the estimates and
Yeah.
locking in the pricing on this year, because they'll be anxious to get the 2026 models off the lot, drop the price, sorry, family, it's in General Motors. So I'm just saying from a cost perspective, like,
Yeah.
if we go with Q4 locking in those prices, that'll help us even if payment comes in 2027. So,
Yes.
all right, I'm done.
Actually, yeah, I mean, we probably need to order those for October, I mean, in order to get that 2026 pricing, because 2027s are going to be rolling off a lot, and then they'll come back saying, well, 2027s now are $2,000 or $3,000 more per vehicle. That's the way, isn't that right, Sean? It seems like it's always, every model year goes up a couple of it. Yeah.
Microphone?
Sorry, usually around November, the new model years start to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're really trying to push the 26 off the lots to make room for the 27s.
Yeah, so usually it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like to start the negotiations, but if not, there's some deals your way, knock off some thousands to get the inventory off the lot, so.
Everybody wants those good year-end numbers, so,
Exactly. Fourth quarter, bonus season,
oh, yeah.
stuff, right?
Okay, give me a second to go down.
While you're doing that, council, any questions so far? Okay.
Oh, we probably need to excuse Councilmember Blount.
Yes, we can do it at the end, so I don't break the flow. Once we wrap up summary and discussion.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay. So where we left off last time, we left off with public safety, and that's up on your screen here. Trying to make it a little bit larger so you can see it. It's also in your handouts for those here in the room. It's going to be the fuller page if you want to find it. Okay, so the change up there, so total compensation, that 5.7 million was 5.9 million, again, because I had two additional officers in there. So that's now at 5.73 million. That was a big change. I looked at 20 times and just, it took a while to stick. So, but one of the things so we talked about the largest expense is health insurance. I have the increase in their budget increase in there based on enrollments. It says 11%. That's based on a 6 to 8% increase for next year, but also enrollment changes during the current year. Our open enrollment is December, so people change from one plan to another. Or folks have families, folks get married. All these are additional changes, plan changes, which add to the cost of the health insurance, which is a needed benefit and one that we market as well, since we have a very nice health plan that we have not changed in a long time. We're thankful for. I think just about everybody except for 2 or 3 employees are on it. So, yeah, including myself and Councilmember McBride, I think, are the only 2. I don't know if I can remember, yeah. So, and pension costs we talked about last time. The pension cost has been increasing, the pension expense and also our liability expense. And that is because of actuarial changes in the state. I've talked about that the last 3 budget meetings, but I keep talking about that just because of the sharp rise in the contribution cost. that we've seen. Getting down to the other expenses, those are the account numbers 6110 all the way down. We talked about these the last budget meeting. One of the big changes was uniforms. We dropped that to a more reasonable level from $80,000 to $50,000, and that is enough there in the budget to do everything that we need to do. Yes, Mayor.
Question about tuition reimbursement. I know we talked about this a little bit the last time, but I was wondering if we could do something to address sort of the mixed messages that we get. We hear from some staff that they don't even know that this is available. And so I'm wondering if we need to create a one-pager to give to all staff to let them know that this is an opportunity, because we value education as a town council and need to spread the message to the staff that we're investing this money. At one point, it was higher for the tuition reimbursement. I think at one point it was up to like 25,000 at one point, or 20. So we're putting it in here because we want them to use it, but I think we just need to do a better job of letting people know that this is available. So, this is your department, Chief, so if you have another idea, let us know. Oh, your mic.
I'm sorry, I can put something out to staff. It's also in the employee manual, and we have been working with HR to redo that, so there'll be more information in there, but I could certainly put something out to staff, letting them know that's available.
That would be good.
So, Chief, I have a question, and Mr. Vito, we're down to 15,000 for the reimbursement, which shows that it is for new officers to attend training. But is it just for training, or can the reimbursement used for example, if I want to take classes at a college or something? So if you just want to clarify that, because maybe they see that and it says reimbursement for new officers to attend training.
No,
academy.
so we have a separate line item for the training, which is the professional development, the 50,000 that's in there.
Okay,
So that one is typically used for college. If someone wants to take college classes, they'll pay up to University of Maryland what they charge, and there's certain stipulations on how many classes they can take. We have had at least one officer that I know of took advantage of that, and we let him change his schedule so that he could go to school.
so do we want to change the language then?
Well, the language in there, if I'm correct, Vito, is
Yeah, those are kind of like my,
Oh, just for your notes?
yeah, kind of like a summary of what can, there's probably a little bit left over from last year and the year before language in there, but I can
Okay.
clean that up.
And also that language, I'm sorry, that language is in there also because if someone puts himself through the academy and they have to pay for it, that can reimburse them for going through the academy. So that's specific
Okay.
for the academy or for college.
Because I might be a resident watching and I don't understand. You're telling me that you have a tuition reimbursement for officers for training, but then you still have the professional development. So I'd be like thinking, is it that for just the training officers or for classes? But thank you for clarity. Thank you.
Thank you for asking the question, because sometimes we forget, these are more Vito's internal notes and descriptors. But like you said, if someone's watching at home, they may not necessarily understand the difference.
Yeah, because a lot of times you see budgets, just numbers on there with the counts. I like to put just like a little descriptor past it, just so, folks know what's kind of like behind the numbers there. And I only have like a small space, so I try to jam everything in there with this thing on one page. So, and some of that tuition reimbursement could overlap a little bit with professional development, depending on what it is. And that's one of those things that maybe in the future can be collapsed down to one line item.
Councilmember Dixon has a question.
So Chief, in regards to 20,000 for 25 and 26, so we dropped down to 15,000 for 2027. How would that affect new officers coming in? Is that enough to cover their?
I'm not sure what the current cost of the academy is, but right now we only have one opening, unless we get two of the cops positions filled. So that should be enough, considering how much has been used in it. Not too many people are taking advantage of it, but maybe when I put something out, we'll see more.
Thank you.
And Councilmember Dixon, it's a good question. The reason why the past few years we dropped it down, or at least initially recommended that, is because of the low utilization. And that's what I mentioned before. It was even higher than the 20K when I first got on the council. But as we have these gaps that we need to close, if people aren't using it, then we have to pull it back until we see more utilization of that benefit. Councilmember.
Chief, also, is there a requirement, like if they come to the force and they want to go to training, but should they be in their position a certain amount of time before we dish out this money for them to go to a training, then they take the training and go somewhere else?
Well, one thing that you have to keep in mind when you send anyone to training, especially with the county, that they don't go there, get trained up, and then want to leave. There are certain positions with the training commission, when people want to go to that course, they have to be a police officer for a certain amount of time. One of them is an FTO, to be a field training officer. You have to be you have to be a police officer for a certain amount of time. But we have a lot of different avenues for training. So we have free training that we use through Police One. We pay for a subscription through that. And there's probably 50, 60 different classes that I can assign people to. Recently, I assigned all the supervisors to supervisor training through that. And there's no cost to that because we pay for the subscription. We can also send people to free training using government funds. They'll pay sometimes for flights, the meals, and the entire training. So we try to take advantage of that to save some money.
It's a great question. Thank you, Councilmember McBride. Back to you, Mr. T.
Okay, and I'm going to flip back forth for the screen and everything. So for discussion, I'd like to show you all and take this off here during discussion. One of the other things, let me just see, IT support, that line 6440, that is for our monthly managed service contract. I'm trying to pick the ones that jump out, the higher amounts. I think we talked about that in a previous session. That is for, we have a lot of networking backbone here between 2, 3 locations that all talk to each other. At least a dozen have software programs, 50-some users, so it's a heavily utilized service, and it's very necessary, and that's where it comes down to. Next line item is $60,000 for software contract. Now, this is just for public safety, but since the servers and everything are housed with public safety, a lot of the town-wide programs are on the police department budget, meaning the backup programs, the firewalls, the antivirus programs. Those are all on the police budget because they are, I always say, the largest part of the budget, but they also take care of all the IT for the town. So a lot of the background services on our laptops and computers are paid through the public safety budget. I just want to put that out there. Automated traffic enforcement, that $125,000, that is for contractual services for the speed camera program, approximately $10,000 a month. The other programs are deducted from revenues received. Speed camera program is the one that we pay for a monthly service fee based on the amount of cameras, but the other ones, the costs are deducted from the utilization, I guess you can say. So, meaning if, they keep 30-40% for their cost, something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's around there. They keep at least a third, and the town nets the other end. So we only realize the revenue. Realistically, we could do the revenues and expenses, but it's based on a per transaction, and that's a little bit moving target there. So I just go ahead and record the net revenues, and the auditors have been fine with that. Fuel surcharge, account number 6620. I'm thinking that things are going to level off. I did increase it. We are on budget for about $115,000 this year. I'm budgeting $125,000. I have faith in the system that we're going to, go ahead and get this resolved. So, sure.
Back a little bit to equipment lease. I see you have like the copier, postage, meter, and stuff like that, meaning that the printer is on lease.
Correct, yes. Because we could purchase them, but they are used heavily. And when they go down, we make a phone call and they rush in, the little elves come in and
still
fix
gotta pay.
everything.
Okay.
And get right back in service again.
Okay.
So it's, when that goes down, we start sending print jobs to the PD copier, or send it anywhere. That's, again, that's all, that whole networking infrastructure can just start finding printers that are online and send it to it.
And plus
So,
the upgrade, like
we are nearing the end of, I think, this copier and the one next door. I think we're either in the 4th or 5th year. And the next time we do this, I'm going to just look at the state contracts and see who's on there. With print media, they're not used as much as they were, 2-3 years ago versus you can just email everything out now. But for meetings and everything, we start just going through reams of paper, it seems like, especially if there's a lot of agenda items and you have to have all the printouts. I mean, we want to go paperless, but you got to have the printouts sometimes.
Thank you.
So especially also for events. We have a lot of events, there's a lot of flyers, there's, and everything's color, two-sided, this and that. And, so, yeah, so it's, but yeah. We could look at purchasing them, and then do a separate service contract. They don't like to separate those out though, so.
It doesn't seem like we will save. It doesn't seem like we will actually save, right? Because we still have to bring someone in to do,
And when you're on contract, I think they have it within like a 4-hour response time.
Okay.
So, and that's huge for us because our team always want to break down on Thursday or Friday before a major meeting and, yeah.
It always breaks down
Yep.
before the council before.
Yep, and you always hear somebody in the back, mostly me, screaming about it, so, so it's,
okay.
sorry, but, so that, let's see, again, down to number 6970, what was there? You can see the description there, 3 public safety equipped SUVs, but, there's a blank there. It was $220,000. I didn't put it in the description, but as we talked about, I want to bring those in depending on how we are doing financially FY '27. I don't want to bump those because we have to keep the vehicle, help me out, Chief, purchase, replacement plan. Yes, replacement schedule up because if you fall behind 1 year, you fall behind 3 years, so it's, and.
I think to that point, Mr. Tonelli, we talked about getting a schedule of the vehicle replacement plan, even if it's mapped out over 3 or 4 years, just so the council can understand long-term what we need to be thinking about. And then by the same token, if we know that and the automated traffic revenue is higher because we're bringing the stop signs online, that could be additional revenue to help us get ahead for FY 2028 vehicle replacements. So, Chief?
Yeah, I just did a vehicle replacement guideline because I didn't see that we had one. So it takes into account how much we spend on repairs for vehicles, what the mileage is and the age of the vehicle, and it determines where it's assigned to. So I went through that and we're updating our fleet, all of the vehicles to see how many are going to be up for replacement. So we would be able to have that and we would be able to predict how many we're going to need.
That's really helpful.
a second.
And then just while you're
No, go
changing
ahead.
screens, the other thing is on ammunition, how does the market situation right now impact the cost of ammunition? Vito probably knows the answer. I don't know.
That's something else I'm hoping comes down.
Ammo's expensive, and in fact, I was just talking to Sergeant Thompson, who's another one of our firearms instructors, about replacing our current guns next fiscal year if we can, because we're at almost a 5-year term with the guns that we have and the amount of ammo that's been fired through them. And they'll give us a credit for these guns if we trade them in. But more importantly, if we go from we carry 40 calibers, if we go to 9 millimeters, it's cheaper. The ammo's cheaper. They give you a lifetime warranty. There's a bunch of benefits to it. So I'd like to look at that for next fiscal year. But right now, we're good on ammo because we just ordered some.
And what is it, the ones they have now?
The 40 caliber.
40 caliber, okay. Thank you.
And they're heavier, and so it's. I mean, we can bump this up if we need to, to cover the purchases. So.
Because, yeah, that's a good question, to replace all of the guns that the officers currently carry. Just having a ballpark figure of what that would cost would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were working on that today. I have the
Okay.
figures on that.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, Councilmember Dixon.
You sure? Go ahead. Throw it out there.
Throw it out there. Chief, have it all together.
And that's a budget line item up there, weapons repairs and supplies. You can see it's been right at 15,000, but as Chief said, ammo prices have gone up at least 30-40%, I think, at least. It's like, do I really want to go to the range, or so it's. So if that's okay, I want to move the public works budget. We good? I don't want to rush anybody because. Okay.
I mean, we spent so much time on
I know, but I like to go back and touch things again, just because, so.
And just a quick added
Sure.
note about the public works, about the police budget, is since we are updating vehicles, maintenance cost is gonna go down. We're not gonna have to put, the batteries in the cars, the alternators in the cars, so that would definitely go down also.
And Sean said that, yeah, I noticed the repairs and maintenance have gone up because it's things, yeah, we're aging and it's a lot, and, it's the city of mileage which kills you, so it's, it's the hard start and stops. Yeah, you jump in, if there's a call, jump in and floor it, just things like that, and, so it's hard on the vehicles. It's hard on the vehicles, it's hard on the people, too, so. Yeah, yeah. Chief, you'll agree with that, right? It's hard on people,
And then before we flip to public works, is there anything code enforcement related, Sean, that you want to call out that you and Chief talked about?
No, pretty much anything that comes up, we are gonna have a few extra memberships this year, but we've got the price to cost it. To cover it, and then maybe looking in the future for maybe next budget year, vehicle replacement for code enforcement, but that'll be next budget year, so, yeah.
And then what about support now that we're doing
But the nice thing about the apartment inspections is I believe the funding that we're gonna generate from it is actually gonna cover the expenses that we're gonna put out on it.
Okay.
But that's what I'm foreseeing at the present time.
Uh-huh.
I do.
We love the faith.
So, but thank you for asking, Mayor.
Okay, you're right. Thank you.
So faith for revenue, faith for fuel, and faith for ammo prices, so, okay. Got all those listed. Yeah.
Pay for it all. It's all covered.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about this, we're projecting out 14, 15, even 16 months, because really our budget year, finance year doesn't end until like August. 2 months after, we complete the fiscal year by the time all the final entries are in, I'll make sure all the bills are in and everything, so. So we're going to move to Public Works, and Sean and I can take this, so. We had an increase for compensation, and that is, we had some adjustments during the fiscal year. You can see account number 6010. And the balance is that 2% COLA, 1% merit that is within all the other departments. Now, just just go back to the COLA merit that is in with all the departments. We didn't do one this year. Now, we did a $1,500 stipend to the employees, which was approved in March. But, you know, in order to make this budget this year, we didn't have a COLA or a merit, so it's pretty much salaries were frozen. So that $1,500 stipend per employee helped to offset that. Now, this next budget year, I've only got 3% total in there, you know. It's not great, but it's something, you know, something that maybe can be looked at again midway through fiscal year, depending on how we are doing financially. Because I feel like we skipped a year or left a year out, and that hits people with their pensions and everything, because it has an impact on retirements and everything. So, but it was needed to balance the budget. So, I just a little sidebar there, to just keep that in the back of everybody's mind. Health insurance, again, that is based on, as we talked about before, the 6 to 8% increase, plus also mid-year plan changes. Pension cost, we're under budgeted this fiscal year. When we came back with the new pension cost and expense and liability, we had to go ahead and boost those up. And I think that's going to hold true through this fiscal year, through next fiscal year, because I haven't seen the pensions expense decrease yet. And we can see for the workers' compensation, another one that really does not go down. It went down slightly. It actually went down a little bit less than I thought it was going to increase. So it didn't go up as much. Yeah, so that's it for compensation. That's why there's an increase of 10%, mostly driven by the health insurance and pension costs, just like with the other departments. So now we get down into the general expenses. This is what they need to operate every day. And Public Works is about 15% of our total budget. So just a little sidebar there. Tuition reimbursement, what we talked about, maybe that one-page flyer can go to Public Works as well. This was decreased last fiscal year because it has not been utilized. What we did, though, Michelle went to go ahead and talk with Purnell, is we increased account 6140 for professional development from 2,000 to 5,000. So get more of training opportunities in lieu of like educational credits, something more they can use the on-the-job trainings and everything. Yeah. Yep. He also went to like American in Bloom, and he's done a lot with that, him and Ray. And also we do get trainings that are cheaper. Help me out, Sean.
Yeah, we get trainings through Legit and other MML programs too for Public Works.
And they received advanced trainings this year, which is why we gave them a small salary improvement for the trainings that they did to get certified in other areas. I can't remember if it was OSHA 40 or something like that. I forget the training off the top of my head. But they also do the driver's training, the defensive driver training. I think also on the machinery.
Yeah, machinery, work zone safety, trainings.
Flagger.
Yeah, flagger training. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yep.
Work zone,
Yes,
work
yes,
zone
thanks.
safety training. I'm sorry.
That's why I jumped in there because I remembered something.
But I think the other thing that we could help Public Works with is, again, going back to the flyer, even helping them to understand that the tuition reimbursement could be used at the community college for English or Spanish.
That's a good idea.
Either way, because they have courses. We live in a multilingual community. Even French could be helpful. And I know we have a nice little Korean population too. So because they're out so much, sometimes they may not realize that it could help them with that. And I know there's a couple of guys that are mostly Spanish speakers. So again, just offering that to them to improve their English could help so they can communicate with residents better.
And there's also free training through the Police One program also. That's directly for specifically Public Works. It's not only for the police department, it's for all agencies to the government, so.
Going through here, fuel, I kept that at 20,000 because they had not utilized that as much. That this is the one fuel cost that I did increase because they do have some diesel vehicles and equipment, and that has risen a lot more than gasoline has. So I think it's like about 12,000 right now through April. So I went ahead and that's why it's 20,000 still through next year. We probably only will use 15,000 of it this year. Vehicle repairs and maintenance. I'm hoping this will go down because we got a couple new pieces of apparatus, of equipment, I mean. We have a couple new trucks. We still have a couple old trucks on that we are maybe looking at. Let me look down here, see if we got a replacement for us, anything. Yes, we do. Okay, so we have an old dump truck. I think it's a 2003.
Yeah, we have we have two 2003 dump trucks, smaller dump trucks. They're not what you think of the larger ones you see on the road, but they're definitely due for replacement to be aged out.
And we have one down here for replacement and capital. Yeah, because at a certain point, by the time you're paying for tires or a brake job or, a transmission job will be 15, 20 on that. So it's, they don't have a lot of miles, but they're just the age. And again, it's the city miles and it's
And
the hydraulic cylinders, everything.
Not only that,
It's-
and then especially with the salt that it carries, the salt just
forgot
eats
about
away
that.
at the
Yeah.
body, rots away at the
Yes.
body.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's the other thing. And that goes into the repairs and maintenance there as well. It is for just the truck repairs and maintenance. And then we also have as partner line item right below it, number 6670 for equipment maintenance. We did blow by the budget on this one this year because we had repairs on our Bobcats. I think they're like 6,000 apiece. Just things that they try to do all the work in-house, but some things you just can't work on. They got to be done by the manufacturer or done by a heavy-duty equipment repair shop. And it's things that I want to say deferred until they stopped. So it's, yeah, it's like 5 or 6 years of 5 or 6 years of repairs that kind of been held off, and you do it all at once. But we did get a couple new pieces of equipment, which will offset that. And we got those, and the equipment expense, the equipment repairs, we can pull those costs out at the end of the year and use that for the highway user revenue funds. So this helps offset. Yeah, I mean the revenue offsets this. It's already built into the budget, but but at the end of the year, I go back and I claim all those expenses. It's already built into the budget. The highway user revenues are already part of this and funding this, but at the end of the year, I pull all the cost out and say, we spent this on vehicles repairs or equipment maintenance, grounds maintenance, which we'll get to down there at the couple line items down. Grounds maintenance is what we use for street sign replacement, blacktop repairs, minor repairs around town, curbing repairs, anything that's not like a major project. We do replace a lot of road signs throughout the year. The footers, the poles, the signs, the nuts and bolts, all of that goes into it. But skip building maintenance, I did up that a little bit from 50,000 to 60,000. Again, we have some old buildings, and we're going to be here for the next foreseeable future, short term, so it's and that will cover our normal, it's fine. It's all good. We can't hear you on here. It's not coming through.
And then, Mr. Tonelli, just going back to the street maintenance, so there's a couple of potholes around town that I spoke to Mr. Hall about. The main source is the Metro bus, because it's certain places where the Metro bus stops. So when they apply the brakes, it affects the pavement, and then when they gain speed. And so Mr. Hall was talking about trying to take that repair internally because the guys watched how the vendor did it the last time and they feel confident that they can save the town money by doing the repairs themselves. It does mean they have to dig deeper, so instead of 2 inches, maybe 4 inches down and then do the replacement and reinforcement of the roadway. So I just want to make sure, since that's something he expressed he's willing to do, I don't know what that cost looks like, and so just helping us to make sure we've got enough in the budget for him and the team.
Yeah, I think we may be looking at, depending on how we finish up this year, doing that this year. Because as the mayor said, I think that's on the outside turn. When and all that weight shifts and it's pushing against that warm asphalt, those areas wear down. I asked him like, heck, let's put a concrete pad in there. Started laughing, but that's expensive, I think.
And that's actually what they've done on some streets, especially on 50th Avenue at the bus stops. They actually contracted out to have concrete pads put in because of the pushing of the asphalt that we've had over the last several years.
And CDBG funded for that, so when the next round CDBG funding comes in, we can look at doing, right now we do need a short-term fix, but long-term, anywhere those buses take that turn or stop, they just chews up the asphalt. It's not just the metro buses, it's also the school buses as well. And so it chews it up quick. And again, those can be pulled, we're trying to watch the funding, to see, what we can spend up to the highway user revenues. I think we talked about before, some towns and counties just take the HURs, the highway user revenues, and say, hey, it's ours. With us, with me, I like to categorize and expenses against it just in case we ever get asked, because, it's always under scrutiny, are they going to be taken away? Are they going to be increased? And we can always say, well, town Bladensburg use it for this, and this every year. And I think I even complained to them that people aren't itemizing when they should be. So, but anyway, street lights, that's one thing that's remained constant, even with the increase in energy cost. The street light pricing for the energy cost has pretty well stayed flat. Haven't seen an increase yet. So we've been fortunate there. We're always just under budget by a few $1,000s, so even if it does go up a little bit, I think this year we're on track to spend about $47,000 of the $50,000. So sanitation contract, we had an escalator in there for number 6750. That is for our contracted twice weekly trash pickup and also bulk trash pickup to the homeowners and the townhouses and condo owners. We've also seen an escalation clause recently. I have to go back and look at it for the diesel prices that go up a certain amount. I have to go back and see what that escalation clause is. Landfill fees, that's for our internal, that does not include the sanitation contract above. Those landfill fees are for what we pay when we go to the dump. When we go out and clean the town up and we're, through our normal course of picking up debris and everything outside of the sanitation contract. And that has gone up recently, but thankfully we haven't used all of it. I'd like to have the full amount in there though. Building supplies, that's pretty much remained constant. We're getting down to smaller items here. Janitorial services, we're under contract with them. I think it's a 2-year contract for the daily cleaning of the buildings. I thought about doing it like, once a week or twice a week, but the amount of traffic that we have in here, it's not possible. These buildings have to be cleaned every day. Sometimes you walk in the morning and, it looks great. By the end of the day, it's like, oh my gosh, so it's, yeah, they do. They do a really good job. And bottom there is just utilities, for the town utilities. And those cover the utilities at like, Boswick, Public Works Office. That's the bulk of it because the Boswick house is large. And the utilities are also spread out through the public safety budget depending on their building sizes. They have this over here plus the annex that is billed separately. And the town hall gets like, I think about 30% of the total utility costs for this building, and the police department gets 70% of it. But just on public safety budget, I'm sorry. Thank you. Public Works budget, it is for the Public Works building and Boswick House, and I think that's it.
Why is the Boswick House using electricity and water?
Gotta keep the lights on, to keep the pipes warm, to, yeah, and that's
Nobody
it's a lot of
there.
pipe, I know, it's a lot of pipes and a lot of house, you know, so it's, I know, and also, who uses it during the year too?
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
University of Maryland, they
Yeah.
use it throughout the year.
And then I think Amen Trust is trying to use it here and there for their meetings now. So we're trying to get people to utilize the space.
And it's nice when you have people in there, because bad things happen to vacant buildings.
Right.
You know, so.
So when
it's-
people at least see folks coming in and out, it lets them know this isn't an abandoned building.
Yeah. So getting down to the capital items, just 2 items left here. The $150,000 for the highway user projects, these are for anything that is major outside of the grounds maintenance. You know, as the mayor said, you know, what we're going to do with the bus pads, if that's a $20,000, $30,000 job, that will go ahead and be tagged specifically for like HUR funds. Yeah, use a mic, please.
Thank you. What about the Mango Cafe parking lot?
That is something that would, probably not HUR funds, but will go back up under the building maintenance. That's something that we should take care of. I mean, because it is our property, and, you know, it's asphalt, and asphalt ages. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the entire? Do we need to repave the whole thing, not just a section? So yeah, we need to prioritize that because they're paying their lease, and as the property owners,
Yeah.
we don't want to be negligent.
And nice thing is, we should, like, I don't want to say wait, but at our next larger repair or CDBG funded road, like a lot of times we can get those like an add-on for cheaper versus them just mobilizing and doing just that
Yeah,
parking lot.
they won't have to remobilize, if, like, let's say we're doing a repair on Tilton Road, they won't have to remobilize their equipment, they could take their equipment from Tilton Road and just take it right over.
Yeah, that sounds good,
Yeah.
but
But definitely needs to be addressed.
It's priority.
Yeah, because now with the craters and stuff, as I was just over there, it now becomes a liability. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, because if somebody
bad.
trips and falls.
Okay, Adnan.
So, yeah, I mean, again, that's our property, so it's, you know, and they are a good tenant, so it needs to get done, absolutely.
And I think we, in the past, maybe 1 to 2 years, we've used enough or given enough business to the paving company that helped us with some of the other projects that I'm sure we could negotiate them down on it so it's reasonable versus the full price. Because we have been a good customer. I'm
Yeah, I
trying to
agree.
think of the name of the last vendor. We've used them for the last couple,
Pronto.
yeah, for Pronto. Purnell's been really happy with the timeliness of them getting the work done and the quality. So it would be
Yeah,
worth just reaching
Pronto
out.
Payment and VMP have been our top 2 contractors that we've used a lot recently.
Okay.
And I tried to bring another one in, who's another large contractor, and we had nothing but problems. So I'll go back to, I almost want to say we need like you know, we put everything out to bid, but, you know, it's like for small repairs, almost like to have a preferred vendor list of vendors that we know that have been vetted, have done good projects, not just for us, but maybe for other towns, but, you know, we still have to put things out to bid though, so it's, you know, depending on the size of the project. If it's over 10,000, we have to put it out to bid.
Right, but we can still add that to our,
Oh, yeah,
to the
yeah,
budget,
okay, yeah,
because,
yep.
because that parking lot is, yeah, I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
We have enough to cover it
Okay,
currently.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
I
about
got
to
note
say
in here for
something?
that, so definitely. And also in capital outlay there is a new dump truck that Sean was talking about. It may not be that much, but once you start adding the equipment to it, like the plow, the salt dog, the lighting, if we need, it all depends on what size bed that Purnell thinks that we need. So this might be a little bit high, but I'd rather have that money in there and back it down some instead of, putting in $100,000 and then like realize that we need another $30,000. So again, this is not something that's going to happen July 1. We're going to wait until how we look through the fiscal year. But there's something that I do want to keep in here because this does have dedicated funding through the highway user revenues. So.
And then also, that's good because when we go to MML this summer, we have the trucking companies who come out and they display their beautiful, new vehicles. So, may be able to, take a look at some of those because they put them on display.
Yeah, and I told Purnell he needs to go down there for that.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
Yes,
that would be
yeah,
nice.
Yeah, they do, because, they do put on a good show, and again, that's why I
Yeah.
talk up MML and Mako, because this is like, when you see it all, and you don't just see like the new stuff, but you see what's changed and everything, the technology, and it's helpful, so. But the largest increase in the budget there is because of the capital outlay for the dump truck. That's why the budget went up 20%. If you just look at the operating expenses above, they went up 11%. But, when you add in the extra $150,000 for a dump truck, that's why the budget increases 20%. So, so where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? With the changes I talked about before, we have a balanced budget because remember the two positions that came out that were over budgeted for, and also deferring the police department expenditures. If you go back to the first page, there actually is like around $25,000 that were over, but I went ahead and just put them back in compensation right now just to show a balanced budget, just because that's a rounding difference. But we have a balanced budget right now, so there's a little bit left over, but I'd rather, if anything we're over on, it's usually compensation for one reason or another, and that could be just because of overtime or, insurance is coming in a little bit higher. But right now, it's balanced, and it's balanced without, what's that? Yeah, with taking that out, with taking the 220 out, yes. And also, this is just operating revenues and expenses. I don't have in here the bond bill expenses or the grants or anything, because what I've done in the past is put in grants based on when we get the grant award, but it never matches up to when the revenues and expenses come in. We get a grant award, but by the time we start spending it, it'll be in the following fiscal year or something. So what we've done, I think starting this fiscal year, we brought them in through budget amendments. So, and grants are in and out anyway. We try to get those revenues and expenses in and out in one fiscal year. Also, what we had before in the past was the bond bill money in there. We put in like $1 million bond bill money. Well, we haven't applied to have that revenues for it. We do have expenses for it right now, but it skews the budget. It really does. I like to keep the operating revenues and operating expenses, and as we do, like the grants and get awarded and spend those down, bring those in through the budget amendment. Plus, it's too early right now to forecast out the grants, I should say. I'll know more in another month or two with the grants and the grant schedule.
The chief promised $1 million.
Could you repeat that, Councilman?
Will you turn your mic on, please?
One more time for the record? No? Okay, got it. Councilmember Brown?
Yes, Mr. Vito, so, but in terms of the grants, should we just separately, something?
We can do something,
separate,
yeah.
Just show grants so that we can, see what we have, where we are. Doesn't have to be combined with this, but just
Sure. Maybe when I'll sit down with our new interim town administrator, and we can talk with the previous town administrator and get a good schedule going of what we think is going to be scheduled out for next year. Yeah. I mean, they're getting tougher to budget, just because it's different deadlines, I want to say. Some are 1-year grants, some are 2- and 3-year grants. And sometimes you can get all expenses in 1 year. Sometimes you feel like you hurry up and, you got to wait for year 2 or 3.
Right.
And so, but yeah, we can do a schedule for you.
Yeah, because you
Absolutely.
have that schedule, and then it's easier to manage.
Right.
Yeah, because like you said, they are different.
Yeah. And we had a lot of grant activity this year, a lot more than we've ever had. So, which helped to fund a lot of projects. And we had, we had police grants, we had overtime grants, we had cops, grants. Yeah, the grants for the green projects, I could just say. So, so we've had a lot going on. Yeah, exactly. So, and I find, it's fine just say, wait a minute, let's take a pause on everything. Let's get caught up right now in the grants, and then, we'll start looking at them again in the next couple of months or so. Everyone says get grants. We got grants this year, so it's.
But the challenge is when your staffing is in flux, we need just a moment to
administration of
reset,
it, yeah.
to staff up accordingly, and then go for more. And frankly, right now, we need to finish spending what we've been on the commitment for, or on the hook for up to this moment, and then think about next steps. So, Mr. Tonelli, thank you for walking us through. I think you were going to give us a summary next.
I think I just did, but
Okay.
Hold on.
I mean, truly, you did. Any questions while Mr. Tonelli
I
is?
talked through the summary without showing a summary.
Okay.
So
Here we go.
Anyway, if you look up, go back to the first page of your handout. You can also look up on the screen. You can see our total budget is $10,297,000. Why is it down from $12,378,000? Because I don't have the federal funding, which includes $500,000 of ARPA and $1 million of bond bill money. And also, I walked back some of the state bond bill money as well. I'm sorry, we don't have the federal earmark. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you, Council Member. And also for state funding, we don't have the bond bill money in there. You can see we also don't have the grants in there right now. So I want to get a better hold on this, so before we bring those back in. And we don't have the associated expenses as well, because as I said, the bond bill money and grant money is revenues in, expenses out, same year. No net effect. Well, it is a net effect, increases the budget, but doesn't do anything to the bottom line. So total expenditures are the same at $10,297,000. Again, you don't have the ARPA projects in there. We don't have the capital projects in there, which is why it's less. You can see those are the major changes there. So that is where we are at the end of budget session number 4. So what's our next steps? Next steps would be, Mayor, ask you what you want
Sure.
to do.
So at the May meeting, we can have the first reading of the budget ordinance, have another update also at the work session in case there's additional questions from the council and we need to make any changes. And then the other thing that I talked to Mr. Tonelli about is scheduling a meeting, even if it's on a Saturday morning, to hear from the public, because we've had several budget meetings up to this point. So we want to give residents the opportunity to give us their input. So scheduling that somewhere between the May council meetings on that second Monday, the work session and council meetings on the second Monday. So having the meeting between that and the June meeting, so residents have an opportunity for input, and then the plan would be to have the second reading at the June meeting, June council meeting, and pass the budget at that meeting.
The June meeting is on June the 8th. And the May meeting is on May 11th. If we don't want it to conflict with like Memorial Day, I would say we should do the community meeting on May 16th. On the same week as a council meeting. We've done that before. I call that taking the budget on the road. Just, just get out someplace to, to try to grab folks at the community center or,
Get them over here, yeah.
Yeah, we're here, offer them free breakfast, anything to get people in the door,
Yeah.
So it's, not breakfast, maybe just donuts and coffee. So
Yeah,
let me back that up a
very-
little bit.
We have a budget constraint. No well, we could trade Danishes for the donuts. Would that work? You think that would work? Okay. Oh, your mic is on. Your mic.
On the 16th, unless it's 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm good for me. No, on the
I haven't seen him.
Yeah, so,
On the
but,
16th.
but, I mean, I feel comfortable and confident in terms of.
I mean, if it's 9 o'clock, it's good, but people be sleeping.
I mean, and the thing is, it's a public meeting, but we could, so May 9th is another option. I think that's Mother's Day weekend, but if we did it at 10,
Yeah.
10 to 11,
And the 9th?
yeah, would that be an option?
Not be here.
That's a Saturday?
Saturday.
So, yeah, looking
10 to
at
11?
Saturdays,
I'm clear.
okay.
Because I think
Okay.
I think we've gone through the process enough that if I'm not here, whatever, I feel comfortable, whatever, with you all moving forward with it. to the-
Just, because
to
it's
the
just for
public.
public input,
Mayor,
just to
I
do an
don't think May
overview.
9th is a good day because people are getting ready for Mother's Day.
Oh, that's
And
right.
Mother's Day is like a big thing for we women,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the all women council.
So
Right.
we could aim for the 16th at 10
Okay.
a.m. And then understanding that
9?
some folks have conflicts. I wonder how many, I wouldn't mind 9 o'clock, I just wonder are residents
They'll be
going to
still
really meet
sleeping.
us at 9?
Sleeping.
I'm happy to do it,
I mean-
but I just want folks to
it's,
show up.
it's once again, you have early risers, you have non-early risers. You do the community meeting from 10 to 11, then you have some people who come in, at 10.
When it's over.
Yeah.
It's almost over, so it's,
We can open the doors at 9 and do it at 10. I mean,
Right.
We'll just have handouts if people want to talk to us or something,
Yeah.
And do the official part from 10 to 11.
and then there's the
Good
next,
open
the
house
next
kind
Saturday
of
on the
thing.
23rd.
That's true, make it an open house.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
good.
And on the 23rd, at
Open
least
house.
we have the 23rd, that following Saturday, if we need to do it again. Oh, that's more.
The 23rd?
Yeah, we were trying to avoid that just because people travel. So yeah, let's
Time's
do the
ticking.
16th.
That's a
And,
okay.
I mean, the reality is people get up and they're at work by 8 o'clock, so we're asking for an hour. So I'm okay with 9 until 10, and we can do it open house style. I don't mind being here at 8:30 if people come early.
We can
get
do have a Zoom in
refreshments.
too.
Yeah,
Like for
we
those who can make it out.
Yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's tougher for you coming
It
across the
doesn't
bridge
matter.
by
It
9.
doesn't matter.
Oh, God. That bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only going on that day is Preakness, and we'll be back over to watch it.
Okay. All right, so we have our date,
money
so
on the
we'll make
phones.
sure we work with you, Mr. Tonelli and Mr. Wood at the appropriate juncture to get the word out to the community.
Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for joining us. The last item on tonight's agenda, I did want to ask if the council would approve a motion to excuse Councilmember Blunt from tonight's meetings for medical reasons.
Approve.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Dixon. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by
Mayor-
Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, did we approve, approval of the agenda earlier when we
We
started?
did not. We
Yeah,
jumped
I
right
don't-
into
yeah.
it. So I'll
I don't
go back
remember
and do that.
that.
Oh, yeah, I don't want you to lose power. So I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it, and I apologize because I did miss the approval of the agenda. You see, I wasn't looking at phones, I was locked in. And in my
Just coming from
defense,
me, because I wasn't logged in, yes.
exactly. I was trying to be a good teammate. You were. I was like, "Are you ready?" He's like, "Nope, keep talking." So I was like,
You don't want dead air.
right. So council, is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's work session?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember McBride. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Brown. Any comments or questions regarding the agenda? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. At this time, I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Brown. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Councilmember McBride. Any comments or questions before adjourning? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? Wait, let me go back. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any nays? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Have a good evening.
What was that? What was that?